Okay, let's get started. So, hello everyone. Welcome to Lisa's Law's Facebook channel. My name is Jessica. I am an immigration consultant at Lisa's Law. So, if you're here with us, please say hi to me so that we know you're listening. Okay, so as you know, in July this year, the British government introduced a new visa route, the BNO Visa. So this visa is for BNO citizens to and their family members to move to the UK and live here for up to 5 years. So after those 5 years, they can apply for settlement and later to apply to become a British citizen. So after this visa was introduced in July, Lisa's Law has received a great number of inquiries about this visa, like how to apply for it and what are the requirements. So we think it will be a great opportunity to host today's live event so that we can introduce to our audience more about this visa, and also you can have the opportunity to discuss detailed questions together with us. So today I'll be using this slideshow to introduce to you the BNO visa and other common UK immigration routes. After the presentation, we'll have around 30 minutes Q&A section, and then you can ask us questions based on your personal situation. Okay, so before we start, I'd like to introduce a bit our law firm to you. So Lisa's Law was established in 2012 in London. We are a UK law firm and we are regulated by the Solicitors Regulation Authority to provide legal services to the public. We can provide legal services in different languages, including English, Cantonese, Mandarin, Spanish, and Italian. So our major practice areas include immigration law, conveyancing, family law, litigation, and business law. We also have a tax department to provide accounting and tax consultation for individuals or businesses. Next, so we'll focus on today's topic, the Hong Kong BNO visa. So as you may know, this visa was introduced in July this year. This visa will allow BNO citizens as well as their direct family members to move to the UK. After living in the UK for 5 years, they can apply to become permanent residents in the UK. And 1 year after that, they can apply for British citizenship. This visa will be available to accept applications starting from January next year. And it is confirmed that in order to apply for this visa, you don't need a valid BNO passport. You simply need to prove that you have BNO status. So what does BNO status mean? And who has BNO status? So first of all, people who have applied for the BNO status on or before June 30th, 1997 will have this status. And second, if people are born before July the 1st, 1997 to BNO parents and their names are included in their parents' passport, then they also have BNO status. And lastly, people born between January the 1st, 1997 and June 30th, 1997, if they apply for the BNO status before the 30th of September 1997, then they also have BNO status. If you are not very sure if you have the BNO status, you can write an email to Her Majesty's Passport Office and find out. So basically what you need to do is to fill out a data request form. So we have attached a sample here. So you need to fill out this form and then you need to provide a proof of ID. For example, a proof of your scanned copy of your passport, and then you should send these documents to the passport office. We have listed the email address here. So by writing an email to them, you should expect a reply from Her Majesty's Passport Office in about 28 days so that you can know whether you have the BNO status. So apart from BNO citizens, family members of the BNO citizens can also apply to the BNO visa. This means that if family members of the BNO citizen, if they do not have BNO status, they can also come to the UK together with the main applicant. So when we talk about family members, we are usually referring to the spouse or a married partner or children under the age of 18 of the BNO citizen. In some cases, for example, if dependent children are over the age of 18, they may be able to apply for the BNO visa if they can prove that they are still financially dependent on the BNO citizen, or that they are still living together as a family unit. However, such cases will be decided by the Home Office at their discretion. So it's not necessarily that they can be proved a BNO visa, but if they can prove that they're dependent on the BNO citizen, then there is a high chance that they can be granted the visa. Well, under very exceptional circumstances, adult relatives, for example, the adult parents of the BNO citizen, may also apply for the BNO visa. However, under such circumstances, you should prove that the adult relative is highly dependent on the BNO citizens. That is to say, for example, there's no one else or no local authority to take care of the applicant in their home country if they cannot come to the UK with the BNO citizen. So next, we are looking at the specific requirements for the BNO visa. So first of all, to apply, you should show that you are an ordinarily resident in Hong Kong. This means that you usually live in Hong Kong. So even if you're currently in the UK, you may still apply for the BNO visa. That is because you can, for example, produce a residence card in Hong Kong or utility bills in Hong Kong to show that you are a permanent resident in Hong Kong. In that way, you can apply for the BNO visa even if you are not currently in Hong Kong. So secondly, you should be financially stable and be able to accommodate yourself and your family for at least 6 months in the UK. So basically, we believe that you should provide, for example, a bank statement to show that you have sufficient funds to live in the UK. However, the Home Office has not announced a specific level of funds required for the BNO visa. We believe this will be decided at a later stage, probably closing to January 2021. We can discuss further when we receive further information from the Home Office. So number 3, applicants to show that they are willing to learn English. However, this does not mean that they should provide an English test certificate at the time of application. They simply need to show that they are willing to learn English. So number 4, they should have a current tuberculosis test certificate from a clinic approved by the Home Office. So this can be quite easily done by an approved clinic in Hong Kong. And the fee for such certificates is usually 500 Hong Kong dollars per person, and this can be achieved in a few weeks' time. So it's pretty easy. Number 5, applicants should not have severe criminal convictions, and they shouldn't have broken UK immigration law. For example, if an applicant has overstayed their visa before in the UK, or they have other criminal convictions, then this can be a problem when they apply for the BNO visa. However, this is dependent on personal situation. It's not necessarily like you will definitely be refused the BNO visa if you have overstayed your visa in the UK before. This depends on, for example, how long ago was the record, and also there are other factors to consider. So lastly, all applicants should pay for the application fee and the immigration health surcharge. So the visa application fee, we don't know how much it's going to be yet, but this can be announced at a later stage. But we do know the immigration health surcharge fee. So currently, like starting from October this year, the immigration health surcharge is going to be £624 per year for each applicant. So if you're applying for a 5-year BNO visa, then you need to time 624 like times 5. So the immigration health surcharge, in case you don't know what it is for you to use public health care services in the UK. So after paying for this fee, you can use public health care services in the UK just like other British residents for free. Okay. So let's say if you are granted the BNO visa, there are certain conditions on this visa. Let's say you can do something and there's something that you cannot do. First of all, you can choose to either apply for a 2.5-year visa or apply for a 5-year visa at a time. If you only apply for a 2.5-year visa now, you can apply to extend your visa further after 2.5 years. So after living in the UK for 5 years, you and your family can apply for settlement in the UK. And 1 year after you become permanent residents in the UK, you can apply to become British citizens. So when holding the BNO visa, you can work or study in the UK at almost any capacity. That means that you can either be self-employed, you can be employed by other companies, and there should be like very little restrictions as to what jobs you can do in the UK. And dependent children can receive education in the UK just like other British residents. And after paying the immigration health surcharge, you can use public health care services just like other residents. However, when holding the BNO visa, you cannot, so for the first 5 years, you cannot apply for state benefits. And also, you have to pay for the immigration health surcharge fees before you become a permanent resident in the UK. So when you're in the UK on a BNO visa, you should also comply with UK regulations. For example, if you have commit a crime in the UK, you may be asked to leave the UK. So next, I can see you have a lot of questions so far. I will try to answer all of questions at the Q&A section later after the presentation. Okay. So next, we're looking at how to apply for the BNO visa. So basically, the Home Office has decided that such applications can be submitted online. So they will introduce a digital application portal where applicants can log into the online portal and then submit the applications online without going to a visa center. So to submit your application, you do not need a valid BNO passport. You simply need to show that you have the BNO status. And also, as part of the application, you should provide your biometric data. For BNO citizens, usually the Home Office already hold their fingerprints data, so they do not need to enroll their fingerprints again. But for the family members, they will be required to provide their fingerprints and a facial image of themselves in order to submit the BNO visa. So if your application is granted, you'll be issued a digital visa. This means that by logging into the online portal, you can see your visa status, and usually there will no longer be a physical document to certify your immigration status in the UK. So now we are looking at how you can come to the UK before the BNO visa is introduced in January next year. So Sabrina, I think this can answer to your question, whether you can come to the UK before the BNO visa is available to apply. Okay, so if you want to come to the UK and live here before the BNO visa is available next January, you can travel directly to the UK and produce certain documents at the UK border, and then you will be considered to be granted leave outside the rules for 6 months. So, usually BNO citizens can come to the UK on a visitor visa and they can stay in the UK for up to 6 months. However, with a visitor visa, they cannot work in the UK or study in the UK, and it will be very difficult for them to, for example, rent a house in the UK. However, with live outside the rules, BNO citizens and their family members can start working in the UK and studying in the UK before January next year. However, usually you will need to prove that you have to like travel to the UK urgently for some reasons. For example, if your children have to start their study at a school before January next year, or you have a job offer in the UK. These can be reasons to explain why you need to be granted leave outside the rules before January next year. So in order to be considered for leave outside the rules, you should produce the following documents to a visa officer at the UK border. So first of all, you should have a valid proof of ID. This doesn't necessarily have to be your BNO passport. It can be a Hong Kong ID card. It can be your Hong Kong passport. As long as it is valid, then it should be fine. So second, you should prove your BNO status at the UK border. So you can do that by either showing your BNO passport, either it is valid or expired. You can also show the visa officer, for example, home office documents to show that you have BNO status. If you do not have any documents to show that you have the BNO status, but you are sure you are a BNO citizen, then you can ask the visa officer to verify your details at the UK border. So this can usually be done if the visa officer check your details via the Home Office database. So if they're satisfied that you are a BNO citizen, you can be granted leave outside the rules for 6 months. And thirdly, you should show that you usually live in Hong Kong. As we mentioned before, you will need, for example, utility bills in Hong Kong or like a Hong Kong residence card to show that. Next, you should show that you can accommodate yourself and your family in the UK financially. Again, for example, you can produce bank statements or bank deposits to show that you can support yourself in the UK without applying for state benefits. So if your family members are also traveling to the UK together with you and they want to be granted leave outside the rules, you should prove their relationship to you. For example, you should produce your marriage certificates or birth certificates to show your relationship. Also, for the 6 months leave outside the rules, because you haven't paid for the immigration health surcharge, you cannot use public health services in the UK for free. So you should have full health insurance for your stay for at least 6 months if you want to be granted leave outside the rules in the UK. Okay, so with leave outside the rules, as we talked about before, you can work and study in the UK. However, you cannot receive public funds. You cannot use public health services for free. And if you are granted leave outside the rules for 6 months, then you can start living in the UK. And after that, 6 months later, you can apply to switch to the BNO visa when it is available to apply. So after holding the BNO visa for at least 5 years and living in the UK for 5 years, you can apply to become a permanent resident. So in order to apply for settlement, you need to satisfy certain requirements as well. First of all, you should prove that you have been living in the UK on a BNO visa for 5 years. So during those 5 years, you cannot have left the UK for over 180 days in any 12 months. And also, so basically you need to live in the UK for at least half a year for each year during those 5 years. Also, you need to satisfy the English language requirement and pass the Life in UK test. So the English language requirement is CFR level B1. This is equivalent to a 4.0 in IELTS. However, you only need to take speaking and listening test for the English language test. You do not need to take a written test. And also the Life in the UK test is a multiple choice test about basic knowledge in the UK. If you prepare it in advance, it shouldn't be too difficult to pass. And also, so after 12 months of your settlement application, after you become a permanent resident, you can apply for British citizenship. So in order to apply for British citizenship, you also need to meet the residence requirements. So in the 5 years before your citizenship application, you shouldn't be outside the UK for over 450 days. And in the 12 months before your application, you can not be outside the UK for over 90 days. And also, again, you need to satisfy the English language and life in the UK test requirements. If you already passed the test in your settlement application, you do not need to take the test again. And lastly, you should be a person of good character and intend to live in the UK permanently. A person of good character means that you do not have severe criminal convictions and will not cause harm to the public in the UK. So if you are not eligible to apply for the BNO visa, there are certainly like other immigration routes for you to stay or come to the UK. So first of all, we have the Tier 1 investor visa. The investor visa is for people who would like to invest at least £2 million in the UK. With this visa, applicants can settle in the UK in 2 to 5 years, depending on how much they are investing in the UK. Then we have the innovator visa. The innovator visa was introduced in April 2019 to replace the original Tier 1 entrepreneur visa. So the innovator visa is for people who would like to set up an innovative business in the UK, and they should invest at least £50,000 in their business in the UK. So before applying for the innovator visa, applicants should obtain an endorsement letter from an endorsing body approved by the Home Office. Then we have the Global Talent Visa. The Global Talent Visa are for industry leaders in their field of expertise. So again, to apply for the Global Talent Visa, applicants should obtain an endorsement letter from endorsing bodies. And with this visa, the applicant and their family members can settle in the UK in 3 to 5 years. Next, the representative of an overseas business visa. So this visa is for people who are employed by a company outside the UK as a senior management position, and for people who are appointed to set up a UK subsidiary in the UK. Okay, so this visa route is also quite popular because the English language requirement for this overseas business visa is relatively low. And if you can prove that you've been employed outside the UK by the parent company and then you are setting up a branch company in the UK, then you can apply for this visa. Tier 2 skilled worker visa is for people who have a job offer in the UK. So in order to apply for this visa, you should be sponsored for a job by UK employers. What is worth mentioning is that starting from next year, the Home Office is going to make some changes to the Tier 2 working visa. So what is most important is that they're going to lower down the skill level requirement and salary requirement for Tier 2 working visa. So basically, it can mean that starting from next year, it may be easier for a foreign worker to secure a job in the UK and be sponsored for a Tier 2 working visa. Next, the new graduate immigration route. So this graduate immigration route is designed for international students graduating from a degree level study in the UK. So after obtaining a degree in the UK, they can stay in the UK and work in the UK for up to 2 years. if they are PhD graduates, then they can stay in the UK for up to 3 years. For family members of permanent residents in the UK or British citizens, they can also apply for a family visa to come to the UK. However, family members also need to meet the English language requirements, and there are certain income requirements for the family visa. Sometimes it can be quite complicated for family visa applications. If you have any questions, you can come to us for advice. And lastly, if you have been living in the UK for 10 years on different visas, as long as you have been in the UK lawfully and continuously for 10 years, you may be able to apply for settlement in the UK as well. So the above is our basic introduction to the BNO visa and other common UK immigration routes. If you have questions, you can leave a comment now, and we can discuss at the Q&A session later. Also, you can reach us by our email address, our phone number, and we can get back to you soon. We would like to introduce to you our new mobile application. So recently, we have developed a mobile application for our clients. If you search for Lisa's Law on App Store or Google Play, you should be able to download our mobile application for free. So via this mobile application, you can get to know more about us. You can also submit new inquiries. Like for example, you can include the questions you would like to ask, and we can get back to you within 24 hours on a business day. We also provide a free consultation for up to 15 minutes for our new clients. So next, we will be starting our Q&A section. I believe you have many questions to ask because I can see many questions already. So should I start now? Let me read the questions now. Okay. Okay, so Josephine, your question is it possible to stay with 2 kids while husband working in Hong Kong? Okay, let's say, so your question is about, so one parent has BNO status and then they would like to stay in Hong Kong, and the other parent will be staying in the UK together with their kids. So actually, a lot of applicants also ask this question, so it is a very good question. So usually, for example, for other UK immigration routes, it is not really possible for one parent to come to the UK with their kids and the other parent is staying outside the UK. So what you can do basically is to, for example, to apply for the BNO visa together as a family. And let's say you all have the BNO visa. However, during the time you hold the BNO visa, one parent do not need to, for example, stay in the UK all the time. He can live in Hong Kong and work in Hong Kong while holding a BNO visa, while the other parent and the kids can stay in UK and finish their study and work in the UK. However, this can be a problem when the family is trying to apply for settlement in the UK, because the Home Office will consider parental responsibilities. They want both parents of their kids to live together with their kids in the UK. So if, let's say, when the kids and one parent are applying for settlement in the UK, the Home Office will require that both of the parents are settled in the UK before kids can settle in the UK. So what you can do is either apply for extension for the parent who was in Hong Kong when they're trying to apply for settlement, and then but eventually the family have to be living in the UK for at least 5 years in order to apply for settlement together. Okay, so next question. For Hang Liu, okay. I want to know how can I apply for an extension. My Tier 5 visa expires in November, And if I can work during my extended stay until January? Okay, good question again. So your visa expires in November, and the BNO visa is valid for application until January. So during this 2 to 3 months time, you should, if you want to stay in the UK and you do not want to travel back to Hong Kong, then you need to submit some kind of application. For example, leave outside the routes. If you're already in the UK, you can also submit an application for leave outside the routes. There's actually an application form online that you can fill out, but usually if you submit an application in the UK, you will need to pay for the application fee, which is around £1,000 for leave outside the routes. And you'll also need to pay for the immigration house surcharge before you can submit such an application. So I believe that if you submit an application for leave outside the routes before your visa expires in November, then if the application is submitted in time, you can continue working in the UK during the waiting time, because your visa will be extended automatically if you apply for another visa before your current leave expires. So I believe that answers to your question. Okay, so for Betty, your question is, if my son in September entered UK. Okay, so if your son is entering the UK in September this year, can we apply for a visa together in January 2021? So I do not know whether your son has BNO status. If not, he can apply for a student visa this year first, in September 1st, to start his study in the UK first. And then later in January 2021, your family can apply for the BNO visa together. So basically what your son has to do is to switch from a student visa to the BNO visa in January 2021. If your son has BNO status now, he can probably apply for leave outside the routes, which is valid for 6 months. Then he can study with leave outside the routes in the UK. Okay, so for Mr. Liang, your question is, I am currently holding a Tier 1 entrepreneur visa to stay in the UK. So this visa was granted in December 2019. You have a valid BNO passport now. Can you and your family switch to from Tier 1 entrepreneur to BNO visa? Yes, so the answer is yes. So no matter what kind of visa you have, you should be able to submit your application for BNO visa online. So as I mentioned before, the application can be submitted online, and the Home Office does not have a requirement where you're going to submit your application. So if you are in the UK now, and your visa, I believe, will not expire in the near future, so you can just wait in the UK until January next year, and then you can switch to the BNO visa. But of course, if your Tier 1 entrepreneur visa was introduced in December 2019, you will, for example, you can apply for settlement if you are on a Tier 1 entrepreneur visa in December 2024, I believe. However, if you switch to the BNO visa, most likely you have to satisfy the residence requirements starting from January next year. So this will make, so you have to wait for another few months in order to apply for your settlement if you switch your visa, if you understand what I mean. Okay. So for Jenny, so you hold a Tier 2 general working visa. The current guidelines do not say if your previous years of work visa can count towards 5 + 1 years of duration of getting settlement. So for your question, this is a very common question as well. We receive such questions from different applicants. So we do not know yet whether this can be combined. We will have to wait for more detailed guidance from the Home Office. So we cannot really say for sure for now. So for Sabrina, can you travel to the UK before the BNO visa is valid. Yes, you can travel to the UK before the BNO visa is valid, and then you can be considered leave outside the rules for 6 months. However, usually you should prove to the Home Office why you need to travel urgently to the UK. As I mentioned before, if you have a job offer in the UK, you want to start working in the UK soon, before January next year, then you can provide such evidence to the Home Office, then you may be granted leave outside the rules. Okay, so for grace, so basically you are living most of the time in Philippines and you have a BNO passport. How can you prove that you are eligible for the BNO visa? Yeah, so as we mentioned, one requirement for the BNO visa is that you should prove that you usually live in Hong Kong. So far, the Home Office doesn't specify what is defined as usually living in Hong Kong. They haven't give like very detailed guidance. However, for most cases, usually, if you live in Hong Kong for at least half a year each year before your application, then you can prove that you live in Hong Kong. Also, let's say, for example, if you are living in Hong Kong for at least 183 days before your application during that year, then you can apply for the BNO visa. That's my understanding anyway. But however, we will see what documents are needed by the Home Office. This will also depend on like what kind of visa you have in Philippines. For example, if you only have a temporary working visa in Philippines, then it can help your application because you don't have the permanent right to reside in Philippines and you are a permanent resident in Hong Kong. So after your visa expires in Philippines, you have to return to Hong Kong. This can also show that you are an ordinarily resident in Hong Kong. Okay, so for Mabel, if you're already in the UK using a visitor visa, can you apply to the BNO visa in the UK on the in January next year? As I mentioned before, the Home Office hasn't posed a restriction as to what kind of visa you should have in the UK in order to switch to a BNO visa, and also you can either apply for the visa in the UK or anywhere else. So I do not believe that it should be a problem to switch to a BNO visa if you have a visitor visa in the UK. However, you do need to consider when your visitor visa is going to expire. So if you enter the UK now on a visitor visa, you are only allowed to stay in the UK for 180 days. If by January next year you have overstayed your visa, this can be a problem for your application. So you should just if your visa hasn't expired by then, I believe you should be able to switch to a BNO visa in the UK at that time. So for Phyllis, what kind of documents to prove that you normally live in Hong Kong? So yes, I already mentioned you can produce a permanent residence card in Hong Kong. You can produce like bank statements, water bills, energy bills, or other official government documents to show your name and your address in Hong Kong. This can prove that you usually live in Hong Kong. Okay, let's see what questions are left. Okay, so for Josephine, so you have further questions about your child's application. Okay, so do you need to leave the UK and enter the UK again to apply for a BNO visa if you already have Tier 4 student visa? So no, if you have Tier 4 visa in the UK, in January next year, you can apply directly in the UK without the need to travel out of the UK. Josephine, in this case, will it be easier to file a divorce as husband needs to work in Hong Kong to support us living in kids studying in the UK? This is actually a quite complicated issue. So we have dealt with cases where some, like for example, for other tier one investor visa, tier one entrepreneur visa, where one parent is living in the UK and one parent is living outside the UK, and the parent living in the UK want to apply for settlement for their kids. So usually you do not necessarily have to file a divorce because, for example, let's say 5 years later, the kids already live in the UK with one parent for 5 years. So apparently, the parent in UK has primary parental responsibility for the kids because they have been taking care of the kids for 5 years alone in the UK. So in Home Office eyes, the parent in the UK is already taking a very important role in the kids' life, and the parent outside the UK is not really playing an important role in the kids' lives. So usually, if the kids has been living in the parent with the parent in the UK for at least 3 years, then the chance of successfully applying for settlement with one parent is quite high if you can provide, for example, like very sufficient evidence to show that the parent in the UK is really playing an important role in their kid's life, and the other parent is not really fulfilling their parental responsibilities. Okay, so we have last two questions here. Betty, your question is, do you mean the student visa 3 years can switch BNO visa for 5+1 under dependent reason with BNO parent? Yes, so if the applicant is on a student visa and they would like to switch to a dependent visa of the BNO parent, then it is possible. However, you should know that this student should be age under 18. If they are age over 18 years old, sometimes it's more complicated. They will need to prove that they are financially dependent on their parents. However, if the kids are in full-time education, even if they are over the age of 18, it should be quite obvious that they are financially dependent on their parents. Okay, last question. Beatrice, if a BNO holder has already been in the UK for 5 years, can he apply directly for indefinite leave to remain or need to apply for the BNO visa? Okay, so according to the guidance so far, we do not know whether like residents in the UK before the visa is introduced can be counted towards the 5-year residence. It is possible that they will consider it. However, I cannot say for sure now because it will be decided by the Home Office when they release further guidance at a later stage. Okay, so we have another 15 minutes. If anyone still have some questions, please leave a message now. Or I can talk about other common questions that we receive from our audience. Oh, okay. Okay, so for I'm reading the questions that our team has collected from you. Let me see. So for Hank, your continuous question. So live outside the rules cost around £1,000, which can be done online. So if I leave the UK, let's say Germany for 2 weeks and come back to the UK, so I don't need to pay for £1,000. Um, yes, I think your understanding is correct. So in order to be considered for leave outside the routes at the UK border, you should be like entering the UK from outside the UK. So if you're already in the UK, you can hardly ever submit an application to the Home Office without paying a fee. Otherwise, you have to either like fill out a form and submit the fees for them to consider, or you will have to, like, for example, claim asylum, but I don't think that's what you want to do. So let's say if you traveled outside the UK and then come back to the UK again at the UK border and you have sufficient documents for leave outside the rules, then you may be considered for the visa without the need to pay a fee. Okay, so for Grace, you do not have proof of billing in Hong Kong and holding a dual citizenship in Philippines. That's why most of the time you are in Philippines. Is there other way? How can you prove that you live most of the time in Hong Kong? So, you can, for example, you can show that you have other families in Hong Kong, or you have a very strong family tie in Hong Kong. You can also provide such evidence. And also, as I mentioned, if, like, in a strict sense, if you live in Hong Kong for at least 183 days during the last year before your application, you should be considered a resident in Hong Kong instead of Philippines. So if you worry, you can probably, for example, move back to Hong Kong for half a year before you submit the BNO visa. Okay, so Erika, your question is, I mentioned it will cost like £1,000 to submit a leave outside the rules application in the UK, which is quite pricey for a month stay. So if you travel outside the UK and then you're coming back to the UK at the UK border, you can ask for leave outside the rules. I don't think you will need to pay a fee because the Home Office didn't mention a fee in such process. So what they will do is they will review your documents, and if they think you can be granted leave outside the routes, they will send you a documents to prove your immigration status. They probably also will give you a stamp on the passport to show that you have lived outside the routes, as the process is quite simple, so you do not need to pay the application fee. What you can also do is, if you do not want to travel outside the UK and your visa is expiring soon, you can probably submit an application before your visa expires. Because after submitting your application, you will usually wait for like 2 to 3 months before you will go to provide your biometrics, or you will receive a decision from the Home Office. So if this suits your situation, let's say you submit your application before your visa expires, and until January next year, you still haven't received a decision from the Home Office, and you have not provided your biometric data to the Home Office, you can then apply to withdraw your application. So by withdrawing your application, you can apply for a refund for the application fee. So that means that you are lawfully staying in the UK during those few months. However, you can apply for a refund for the fees if you do not receive a decision. Okay, so for Peter, your question is, would you know if there would be a problem to apply for citizenship if my wife alone, not planning to work in the UK, but comes with BNO visa with me together, provided we have resources to support ourselves during those periods? Okay, so your question is, do you have to work in the UK to apply for settlement or British citizenship? So I do not believe it is mandatory for your wife to have a job in the UK in order to apply for settlement or British citizenship, because usually for general application for British citizenship, it is not required to have a job or have ever had a job in the UK for those 5 years. They will need to simply satisfy the residence requirements, the English and life in the UK test requirements, and also they need to prove that they intend to live in the UK permanently. So let's say if you have a job and you already applied for British citizenship and you have purchased a house in the UK, so this can show to the Home Office that you do intend to live in the UK permanently. So even if your wife does not have a job, it shouldn't really be a problem for her to apply for British citizenship. So question number 12 for Erika. Okay. I have also lived in the UK for over 5 years. Does the 5 years indefinite leave to remain still available? I'm not very sure about this question. Can you be more specific about your question? So you mean that if you already have indefinite leave to remain in the UK, will it still be valid in the future? So if you already have indefinite leave to remain in the UK, so your permanent resident status will not be cancelled unless you have been outside the UK for over 2 years at a time. So as long as you travel back to the UK every 2 years, your permanent residence status will not be cancelled. However, every time you come back to the UK, you should show that you intend to live in the UK permanently. Okay, so 8 minutes left. Do you guys still have any other questions? Even if it's not directly related to the BNO visa, I can also try to answer to your questions. If not, I can talk about other questions that I have received from our audience before, which may be relevant to you. Okay. Okay, question number 22. So for Bonnie, if I was already retired in Hong Kong, so I am not going to work in the UK, but I still have rental income to support my living, is this going to affect my application to become a British citizen? Okay, so again, this is a fairly similar question to the question we received before from Peter. So in order to apply for either settlement in the UK or indefinite leave, or British citizenship in the UK, it is not required for you to have a job. If you have rental income to support yourself, that's very good. You can show to the Home Office that you are not going to cause any burden to the society if you become a British citizen. But yeah, so it's not going to be a problem. So the main issues to consider is whether you meet the residence requirements and whether you are a person of good character. And also you need to show that you want to live in the UK in the future. Cool. So I will talk about other questions that we received before the webinar. So first question, during the time I hold the BNO visa in the UK, can my dependent child apply for BNO passport in the UK? So the question is no, because BNO status was introduced before 1997. If you haven't applied for the BNO status before, it is no longer possible to pass the BNO status to future generations. So your child will not be able to apply for a BNO passport. However, what they can do is they can still travel to the UK together with you and live in the UK together with you on a dependent visa. However, this does not mean that they will have BNO status or a BNO passport. Okay, so next question. So after living in the UK for 5 years and apply for permanent residence, do I still need to pay for the immigration health surcharge to use public health services? So the answer is no. So after you settle in the UK, you do not need to pay for the immigration health surcharge again. You can use public health services in the UK basically for free. And also, you will also have the right to apply for public funds if you need to. There will be no further restrictions on you to apply for public funds. Okay. Next question, how do I open a bank account in the UK? Can I use my proof of address in Hong Kong to open a bank account in the UK? So usually different banks in the UK have different requirements to open an account in the UK, but usually you will need to provide a proof of address in the UK to apply for a bank account. So what you'll need to do is for example, you have to rent a house first or live with your friends first. If they can provide a proof that you are living at this address, you can then open a bank account. Okay, so last question. New question for Erica. Because I remember there's a 5-year thing for BNO holders a few years ago who have lived in the UK for over 5 years, then you can apply for UK citizenship. Yes, that is true. So question 23, you are talking about registering as a British citizen when you are a British national overseas. Yes, this route is always there and it is not being cancelled. However, it is quite similar to the points I talked about when you apply for British citizenship. So if you are a BNO citizen and you have been living in the UK for 5 years, you can register to become a British citizen. That is true. But however, in order to register as a British citizen, you have to show that your immigration status is not restricted. You have to show that you are already a permanent resident in the UK. So let's say, for example, if you have been living in the UK for 5 years on a student visa already, yes, you do satisfy the residence requirement for this British citizenship registration. However, you are not a permanent resident in the UK. That's why you cannot register as a British citizen yet. But still the route that you mentioned is still there. However, it's not really helping because you have to first become a permanent resident before you can apply for British citizenship. So this is what the BNO visa can help you. So with the BNO visa, you can apply to settle in the UK to become a permanent resident in the UK in 5 years, and after that, you can apply for British citizenship. Oh, we still got 3 more questions. Okay, so this will be the last 3 questions for us. So I'll start now. Question number 24. I am cured for pneumonia a long time ago and no more now. Is it okay to apply for TB test for BNO visa in 2021? And also, if one member do not pass English test at 65 years old, but the other pass, is it okay to become a British citizen without the need to take the English test? Okay, good question. So first of all, to apply for a tuberculosis test certificate, yes, you can do so. No matter what, if you have pneumonia before or not, you can apply to get such a certificate. So when you apply for the certificate, the doctor will have a medical examination for you. If they find out that you do not have tuberculosis, then they will issue you a certificate to show that you can come to the UK. So it shouldn't be a problem, especially when you already cured a long time ago. And also for the English requirement for British citizenship application, if one member, if for example one of the couple has passed the English test, the other one hasn't, then this will not help the person that hasn't passed the test. Both of them have to pass the test before they can apply for British citizenship, because it is an individual requirement for the applicant. So, but you may want to know that there are certain people who do not need to pass the English test. So for people under the age of 18 and for people over the age of 65, you do not need to take the English test. So let's say 5 years later, you're already over the age of 65, then you do not need to take the English test. You can apply for British citizenship without the English test certificates. Question number 25. I am holding a 10 years root partner visa, but my card is no public funds, so you cannot apply for public funds. You have 2 kids. What kind of benefits can you apply? So this question is for April. So you have a biometric residence permit that says you cannot apply for public funds. That means that you cannot apply for public funds. There's basically hardly any benefits that you can apply. But however, if you are the mother of or father of 2 kids, then you may be able to change the conditions of your biometric residence permit. So if you can prove that you need extra funds to raise your kids, and then you are not in a very good financial status to support your kids, what you need to do is you first have to apply to the Home Office to cancel such conditions. You need to tell the Home Office that you'll need to apply for benefits now. Please cancel the condition for no public funds. You need to show that you have very little savings, you do not have a well-paid job, and that there's need for you to support your kids. So if you're on a 10-year partner route, there is a high chance for you to get public funds if you apply to the Home Office, when you can show them you are not in a very good financial situation. However, you have to first apply to the Home Office first and get the permission before you can apply for public funds. So last question for Grace. If you're granted BNO settlement for 5 years, can you get BNO Visa? Meaning you need to surrender Hong Kong ID. Okay, let me see this question. Okay, so what you mean is if you have permanent residence in the UK, so after you become a permanent resident in the UK, do you have to surrender your Hong Kong residence ID? Means that you cannot get benefits in Hong Kong. So this question, I am not entirely sure, because you should probably ask people in Hong Kong. However, if you are granted permanent residency in the UK, this does not change your citizenship. So let's say you are now a British national overseas, and then you apply for settlement in the UK without applying for British citizenship, then you are still a BNO citizen. You are not a British citizen. So if you hold a BNO passport with permanent residence in the UK, you can live permanently in the UK, but you are still a BNO citizen. If you're still a BNO citizen, I do not believe that you have to surrender your Hong Kong ID card or your other nationality, because your nationality is still BNO, so it will not really change anything. So I guess people may want to know, and in case you are not very sure, you will want to know the difference between permanent resident and British citizen. So a permanent resident can live in the UK permanently. However, this does not mean that they are British. For example, you can be Chinese, you can be a British national overseas, but you can live permanently in the UK if you are a permanent resident. However, if you apply for British citizenship, then yes, again, you can live in the UK forever, but now you are British and you are no longer British national overseas or Chinese. If you understand what I mean. The difference between a permanent resident and a British citizen is not that much. So a permanent resident does not have the right to vote in the UK, but a British citizen can vote in the UK. So that's the main difference. For both British citizens and permanent residents, they can use public health services in the UK for free, and they can apply for state benefits. Okay, so far it's already past 2 o'clock now, so I would like to thank you for joining today's live events. I have a great time chatting with you guys. And if you have any further questions, you can leave us a message on Facebook, or you can also contact us by email or by phone, and also by Facebook or our other channels. So we will get back to you to your questions. Okay, thank you. Also, we'll be holding other live events in the future. If you are interested in UK immigration or other areas of law in the UK, please subscribe to our Facebook page, and then we can get in touch. Okay, thank you. Bye.